be showing you guys how I created this particular design in Canva, and these are the resources I made use of for the design. Okay, so let's get started. Let's create a new page for our design. So we add a new page. So the first thing I want to do is want to ungroup all my elements, then I'll begin to bring them to the design one after the other. So I'll take this girl and I can duplicate her, then bring her to my design right there. You can increase the size. Then the next thing you want to do is go to effects, and you want to remove the background, right? So once we are done with removing the background, at the back you can adjust this here and increase her a bit. Alright, then still drag this here. Alright, so we have this already. Then the next thing we want here is the beach sand. So let's see the name of the element. Click on the eye info. So it's an abstract sand texture. So that's the name. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to increase it to fill our. Alright, sorry for that break in transmission. Right, so what you want to do is to bring in your beach sand, and let's see whether we are right there. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here is let's try to reduce this a bit. Let's see, take it slowly. Alright, so the next thing we want to do, let's go to our notch, let's bring it down a bit, right, so it can fill everything. Okay, so let's just increase a bit. Yeah, so this is perfect, right? Let's see. Okay, so the next thing we want to do right here is we want to bring this lady, we want to bring her to the front. So once you select the lady, you can see these three options at the top. We see the plus, we see the basket, and we see the three dots. So we click on the three dots here, and we see bring forward. Just by swiping to your right, you see bring forward, you see bring to front. So you just click on bring to front. That's what we want, right? So we can drag her a bit down here, so it looks as though she's on the beach. So this is where the whole work is going to take place, because we need to actually make sure it looks real. Like leaving it like this makes it feel as though she is just flying. All right, so this is where the work is. So let's try to increase a bit. Increase this. I think this is not bad. Yeah, so let's say we have as this. So this is where the real work is. We want to make sure she looks standing and not floating. So this is where we are going to use our shadow, right? So go to your purple plus icon here, then you go to elements, you search for your shadow, search for shadow, and yes, search for shadow. All right, so you go to graphics, and yeah, so let's pick this guy here. So let's see the name of the shadow, let's the info. Alright, so let's just go right here. So drop shadow. So what I want to do is want to reduce this drop shadow. I want to bring it there. Then you can increase or zoom in, so you can see what you are doing very well, right? So you can reduce the shadow, bring it back here, reduce the shadow, bring it back here. So what you want to do now is to send this shadow backward. Alright, because leaving it as this, the shadow is showing on top of the bag, but we want it to be as though the bag is on top of the shadow. So that means the bag is showing shadow, right? Yeah, it's reflecting its shadow. Alright, so click on the three dot, then go here, click on send backward. Alright, so we have this. So what we can do from here is we can reduce the transparency. Go to your transparency, you want to reduce the transparency. Alright, then you can still reduce this guy over here, this dude right here. So let's just make use of some nudge, and yep. Alright, so I think this guy is standing standing already. The bag is standing. So the only thing we are left with is for the girl. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go to shadow again, and yes, I think we want to go with this shadow. Now the reason why we're going with this shadow is because of the way the girl leg is. If you look at our shoe is not that circle, it's kind of like spherical. So we're using this, and all you have to do, if you bring it right here, it doesn't work like that. You can have something like this to show that the shadow of the lady is forward and stuff like that, and it will be perfect if you have it this way. Alright, so if you have it this way, actually this is perfect. It shows she's standing and her shadow is being casted forward, right? So the next thing we want to do from here is you want to click on the three button here, and you want to send that backward so it looks real, like she's actually standing on the shadow and not the shadow standing on her, right? Alright, so from there, let's pay a good look at it. It's coming alive. So let's see if we can adjust it a bit. I mean the shadow. So let's make it, and let's bring it down a bit. Okay. Yes. Then what we can do is to reduce the transparency, so it looks more real. Alright, so let's just work with something like that. So the next thing we want to do, I didn't do this in the first design, but after looking at the design I discovered, okay, there are things I can do to make it actually look more better. Okay, so from there we can duplicate this particular shadow. So once we duplicate it, we can decide to move it here, but what we want to do is want to reduce the size to fit in the lady's shoe, right? So what we want to do is want to rotate it and reduce it, rotate it. Want to have a better, yes, so we can reduce it like this, then can have something like this. Perfect. Then we can increase the transparency a bit. Now if you look at it from here, it looks as though it's on top of the shoe, but we want it to be underneath. So click here and you click on send backward, right? So we have something as this, but we don't want it to. So let's go to our elements, or layers rather. We still want to work on that particular shadow, right? So still want it to be this way, yeah. So this is just a bit. Alright, so let's bring this guy forward, yeah, so it doesn't look as though I think it's having a sharp cut. So still go to your layers, so we can select it. We don't want it to have a sharp cut, we want it to have a smooth, yeah. So what we can do is to move it backward using nudge. Okay, so we have something as this. Alright, so she's standing. I think the next thing to do is to bring in our text. Alright, okay, we are not done with that. The next thing we want to do is we want to give the sand more like a dark feel. So what do? We go to our purple plus icon, we cancel our search, and we go to our shapes. So we bring in this particular rectangle over here, right? Then increase it. Alright, so let's just increase it. Yes, so we have something like this. Then the next thing we want to do, we want to change the color to black. Then from black, click on it again. We want to change it from solid color to gradient, so we fill it with gradient. Then we want to change the scope to the second style. Then we want the black to be beneath and the gray to be on top, so you switch it. Then from here you want to turn this to 0 instead of 100%, so you erase it to 0. Alright, so then from there we can still make this black darker, and yeah, so something like this. Alright, so we can still drag it down here. So we have something like this coming real already. So the next thing we want to do here is to bring in this guy over here. This is our frame, so you can use any frame. So bring in our frame, so we can increase the frame. Let's have it as this. So the idea is to have the frame as though is actually sitting on the sand too. And for us to do that, okay, so let's bring in the image too before we move further. So let's bring in the image. So to clip in your image into a frame, all you have to do is just place the image on top of the frame. That's it. Alright, so we have this, but we want it to be at the back because we're trying to tell a story that when you're a voyager you travel. So we're trying to show, okay, these are the places you are going to go, something like that, just like a storytelling. So you click on the three dots, right? Then you click on send backward again. Alright, so this is what we want. So from here, the next thing we want to do is want to add another shadow. Just like we can see, you want to add another shadow, so it looks as though the image, the frame, is actually standing and not just floating. So you go here, so you can see actually most times what shadow does to your design is it gives it volume, especially probably someone that was standing and there's no shadow and you want to make it look real, like the person is not just floating. All you need to do is to just add shadow to it and it will come alive. So let's pick this. If it works, then we use it, and if it doesn't, then we change it. So we can reduce it. I don't think it's gonna work, so let's change it to this guy over here, right? So let's reduce it here and let's have something like this. Let's send it backward. Send backward. Alright, so let's reduce it. Let's zoom in. Let's see. I think, yeah, so let's send backward. Click on the three dots, then send backward. Alright, so now it looks like it's actually seated. So from here, what we can do now is we add in our aeroplane. So we duplicate it, we bring in an aeroplane, add it here, to reduce the size. Now the idea of reducing the size is to create perspective. So the bigger the object, the nearer it is. The smaller the object, the farther it is. That is the idea of perspective in design. So when your object is looking smaller, it actually means it's far away, and when it's looking bigger, it actually means it's actually nearer. So if we have this, shows that the plane is actually far away. So to give it that complete view, we duplicate this cloud and we bring it in to the design. So we just have something around this area, then we duplicate it again just to give it this kind of view, right? Then the next thing we have is just to bring in our text. So I won't be typing our text. Let me just copy it, select multiple, then I'm going to copy, then I'm going to come here. Now what copy does, it copy it in that same position and place the element or text in that same position. So by the time you click here, you long press it, then you click paste, so it's going to copy it in that exact position. Then the next thing we want to have is this Voyager right here. So you want to do the same thing, you want to copy it to, then you want to come here and hold down enough, then paste it. So we have this, right? Then the next thing we want to do is to send this Voyager backward. So click on the three dots and backward, and hit backward again, backward, till she is behind the lady. Alright, so from there you can use your nudge to move the text a bit closer to the lady. Alright, so can have something like this, Voyager. Alright, so actually this even look more better than the first try. So this is how you create a, let's say this is how you create this particular design in Photoshop. Most times when you want to do it manipulations, you just have to think of perspective, how will it actually look like in the real life scenario. So that is the idea behind this tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you want something more like this, just let me know, then I begin to do more video content for you guys here on YouTube. Alright, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.